I'm Marlene Roux. I am the CEO of Artscape Theatre Centre. We have been established in 1971. So now this year we are 50 years old. In 2020, when the pandemic Covid-19 started, our industry was hit the hardest. Stages needs to close, audience couldn't come to the theatres anymore. Artists has lost their income. Artists and producers couldn't get funding. And producers from all over the world couldn't see themselves producing for 100 people or to 50 people in an audience. Hence, COVID-19 has a tremendous impact on our industries. Theatres have closed down. Artists has lost their livelihood. It is now to relook at our profession and to restart. Because the arts and the creative industries had not been seen as important enough to look at their livelihood. As I'm sitting here today as an administration and being part of administration and being an administrator, it is heart-rendering to witness how we could not produce or receive quality productions and of artists to produce productions on our stages. What we have done as Artscape in 2020, we have turned around all our productions, and we were lucky enough to have a partnership with the City of Cape Town, with the provincial government, and also the Department of Arts, Sports, Arts and Culture nationally for the infrastructure support. If we didn't have the infrastructural support, we couldn't have turned around the theatre. We immediately went into streaming. We immediately could back to back make use of our multi-skilled technical team. We could immediately turn around all staff members to work for the benefit of the artist, for the rehearsals, for streaming, and to make this building relevant. Every artist could at least earn something because they were part of the Artscape program. This was not viable in other theatres or in other sectors of the creative industries. Hence, we as Artscape were lucky that we could turn it around. We also made use of the radio programs. We made use of radio productions. We turned around our education program where our set works for grade 1 to grade 3, our set works prescribed drama works and prescribed works for grade 11s and 12s. We turned it around to be productions on radio. So we became more known because we made use of community radio stations. So parents during hard lockdown could read with their children, and matriculants could read with the actors via the radio their prescribed work. But we sit from a privileged position. But it's not going to be for long that we're going to be in this position. If the arts are not going to be relevant again, getting funding again, because Artscape is a receiving house. We are being a receiving house because we have an infrastructure, we have stages that is fully equipped, we have a sound department, we have a lighting department, we have a costume department, we have a wig department. We are fully geared to receive producers, receive artist work, receive musicals, dramas, the ballet, the opera, contemporary dancing, indigenous arts, but it is important that these companies and producers get funding. In order for us as a complex, as a cultural institution, to adhere to our mandate. So our plea is, let us become the receiving houses. Let the creative industries become professionals again. Let them be getting funding, that they needs to get funding. But it's very important that these wonderful buildings which were preserved, which were restored, needs to be open to every single person of our population once again. As South Africa, as we are in a young democratic country, it is important that spaces like Artscape breathes humanity, breathes democracy. If there are no spaces where we can be as a nation, that is why our theme is yesterday, today, tomorrow. It is important that we need to look at our identity. It is important that we need to look at our South African identity, and the arts play a pivotal role to start with dialogue, to start with communities that was previously denied access to spaces like Artscape in the apartheid era, in order for us to have dialogue through our stages, through our stories, through our dancing, that we need to move forward to every step to a new South Africa. Spaces like these are spaces for breeding new leaders, ethical leaders, sir. Leaders that understands that we are diverse, but we are diverse in one. In our diversity, we need to move to our oneness of being a South African. The more stories that we tell of each other, the more stories we are telling about our diversity, the more untold stories we're telling through our music, through our dancing, through our reading, through our new works, the more we're going to understand ourselves as a nation. Therefore, the arts and the building, like theatres, like Artscape, can't be closed down. COVID has happened. The pandemic was brutal to our industry. We now need to look at the restoration, we need to look at the preservation, and we need to look at the future of the arts. If we're not going to look at the arts as a profession, that the arts is just as important as being a doctor, a teacher, a business person, an entrepreneur, then a nation will be at lost. We need critical minds, we need writers, we need operas to be produced to tell our stories, our wonderful stories about our suffering, but how do we move forward as a collective? Hence, it is time as a nation that we need to support our artists. And economically, our artists needs to be supported. As Artscape, we are pleading that our spaces must be open to the public. We are pleading, and we are ready with our COVID regulations. We are ready to wear our masks. We are ready to fill this particular complex with 1,000 people once again. The pandemic has happened. The vaccine is there. We need the vaccine for artists. We need the vaccine for our audiences. We need the vaccine so that artists and buildings like Artscape becomes once again relevant and the iconic building for the future of our nation.